And we are live. This is Travis from Carter Capital, Trade with Travis, and Expert Advisor Reviews on YouTube. Hope everybody's doing very well on this Wednesday morning. Sorry for missing out on yesterday. Ended up having some type of bug. Ended up being pretty much sick all day. Kind of recovering from it now, but obviously trying to get everything else situated as we go through. End up having a lot of stuff that ended up happening for us trading. Turn on that light. End up having a lot of stuff that ended up happening for us trading yesterday, but we'll see how everything kind of reacts and happens to us more as we end up going through. Now, I know I'm typically we. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened, but I guess we're back live. So um, hopefully I didn't kick anybody out. Okay, so cool. President Garden ended up speaking a little bit earlier today. Ended up having it at 5:30. We'll see how that kind of affects what's happening with the Euro, United States dollar, and a few other pairs that we end up taking a look at a little bit later on. We're going to end up having the Bank of China end up having an interest rate decision. That's going to end up happening. But today it's going to end up being more of a trader today. Going into tomorrow, we're going to end up having President Lagarde speak at 5 a.m. And then after that, we're going to end up having retail sales from Canada as we go through. But most of the large information actually ended up happening yesterday when it came down to retail sales. We ended up seeing a big move when it came down to most pairs like US 30 and everything else. So we end up going across and taking that for what it is, and taking a look at what's happening overall with um, taking a look at what's happening with the Japanese yen. I'm going to have to stop this optimization. I have an optimization running in the background, and I guess it's slowing down everything that I'm doing. Let's see. Okay, so there we go. All right, so we take a look at what's happening with the United States dollar from a daily perspective. We end up having a trade on this one at 12,814 to fall down to the downside. We end up saying that we expected that the market will fall all the way down to 12,626. Based off of the large movement, ended up going all the way down to 12,652 before starting to be able to pop right back up. We take a look at that from a 2 hour perspective. Um, we can see that the market ended up having a big drop to the downside. Then after that, started to pop back up based off of the retail sales being pretty good. Yeah, go play over there. Go play over there. Um, Based off of the retail sales actually being good, and market actually ended up popping back up. Um, I ended up getting out of this move before the news actually ended up going out, which was right around this area, right when I ended up getting out. So I basically ended up getting both. I ended up taking out one when we end up. I want to say probably about one Monday or so when we end up having that news that end up coming out, end up getting out right there, and basically the same. That second pair I ended up getting out right at the same price. So um, it wasn't nothing to be. I'm happy about it, but obviously I probably wish I could have been a little bit more patient. But it is what it is. It turned into a profitable move. The question is, should you be looking at being able to do anything with it right now? I don't think so. I think that the market is probably going to end up being a consolidation for the next couple of days until we truly see what happens. That's leading us into week four overall. Typically, week four, you're going to end up seeing basically a reversal of somewhat of a trend, and then after that, kind of seeing how it kind of goes into the new year. But I think we have 5 weeks in. Um, yeah, we do. We have 5 weeks in January. All right, so with that being said, United States dollar index won't do anything with U.S. oil was in consolidation. It stayed in consolidation. I wasn't interested in being able to make a move until it broke above 82.50. Market ended up getting up to 82.50, ended up rejecting, and then after that stayed basically in the middle of consolidation. Because of that, I wasn't interested in being able to do anything more from that move. Let's see. Uh, what's up, Block? It says stream is choppy on my end for YouTube. Yeah, it's pretty much the same. I end up getting cut out. On Trading View as well. Block. Um, I don't know what's going on. I thought it was the optimization that I was running in the background, so I turned that off. I'm gonna go from there. Give me a second. not going to do anything based off of oil yet until it ends up breaking out of this overall consolidation spot. Not interested in being able to make a move, but we can actually start looking at being able. Bless you. We can actually start looking at being able to make a pending order to the upside and to the downside based off of this position. I believe that the pending order will probably end up getting kicked in from the upside position. I think that anywhere from that 82.50 area to that 94.50 area will probably end up being the best trade to be able to take. Once we end up having a true confirmation of a breakout of that position, I would say something to the extent of this will be your take profit. Or your take profit position or where you want to get in, and then based off of this U-turn right here, we see this U-turn starting to form. Stop loss will end up being below that U-turn, which will end up being a higher low. So whatever that U-turn is, that will be the stop loss, whatever that position is. I think the risk reward will actually end up being pretty good off of that either way. We're talking about 121 compared to 46. So you're talking about a 1 to 3 risk reward ratio once it ends up happening. I will look at being able to place in that order, but I do need to know if that's going to end up being the swing low towards the upside when it comes down to that position. The next order. Take a look at it to the downside. What would it be? The extension was 64.40. If that does happen, then that means that the order will be down here. And we do not know what that swing will end up being, at least as of yet. So we're not going to do anything off of that, but that would be an example of it. Obviously, risk reward factor is going to end up being pretty good on both of these. I do expect that the market's going to pop up to the upside and not the downside. But until that happens, there's really nothing to do on this one. Let's see. All right, gold. So gold ended up hitting the D extension a little bit earlier. That was at I think it was like 1892. I believe the last time that it ended up happening. Currently, right now, we see the market starting to retrace. It's in the sell zone. We talked about how the United States dollar index was in a transition phase, where the weekly and the daily were basically in the same position, meaning that the weekly was in the buy zone, the daily was in the buy zone, meaning that we probably going to end up getting a strong push to the upside at some point, where because both indicators basically started to agree with each other, we'll start to see that the market was going to end up making a move to the upside. That's the same thing that ended up happening with gold. Gold from a weekly positions in the sell zone and from a daily positions in the sell zone, which means that we're probably going to end up seeing that there's going to end up being some type of a push to the downside, where the United States dollar will start to get a little bit stronger. Now, essentially, what that means is that it'll just be more. Stop it. Which means that it'll probably just be a little bit more of a retracement overall. But currently, right now, if we're just talking, we're in that last phase of the market being able to push up from the 1909 position to the 20,070 position, where the market actually ended up making this big move right when the war actually ended up starting in Ukraine, based off of that movement. From a daily perspective, we can see that we're really not necessarily, we're in a position to where the market is in the sell zone. We're probably going to see about 7 to 11 candles of overall downside movement first before seeing anything. So I do expect something to be of an extent of something like this to happen first before being able to make a move like that, if the market is truly going to end up being bullish. If the market is going to end up being bearish, then the market probably might see probably might end up seeing a strong downside move first before being able to pop back up. For right now, there's really no move to be able to take overall on this pair in general. Everybody, give me 1 second. Okay, but from a position with gold, I don't think there's really nothing to be able to do right now. Obviously the trend has been up, but we know that the weekly and the daily are showing that the United States dollar is probably going to end up starting to gain a little bit of strength. The question is when it's not going to end up happening. What is going to end up being a catalyst to be able to make a move that way? Let's go ahead and get into Bitcoin real quick. So Bitcoin end up pushing all of the positions that we end up thinking that it was going to end up going to. It broke out at 18,240. It was going to go to 1879. It did that. Went to 1960. Did that. Went past 2,370. Did that as well, which was the top of this overall resistance. From there, broke up and then ended up going to the top of the resistance again, right around that 21,000 number. Since then, we end up saying that the market had to do a little bit of retracement. Now, that retracement that I believe that the market is going to end up falling down to will probably end up being that 19,670 position. What's going on, Fatty? We're going to end up being towards that 19,670 position, which is basically the middle of this consolidation. It ended up happening a little bit earlier. It ended up tapping the first consolidation spot before actually being able to make a little bit of a retracement, or basically just kind of pushing back up to the middle. I do think that over time that the market will fall down a little bit to kind of give people a better chance of being able to get a better profit or get a better position to be able to get in. I think some people will be a little bit more patient when it comes down to that, and then some people will look at being able to take profit as well. So um, until the market ends up getting past that 19,670 number, I'm not going to be interested in being able to do anything for that position. But the sweet spot for me on this one will probably end up being somewhere around this area. For us being able to get back in. If that happens, then after that, I'd be interested in being able to get in. Now, what also could happen, and I'm going to bring this down a little bit more. The market falls and it basically ends up trying to pass resistance into a future support, meaning that it falls all the way down to the 18,240 number, and that's a very good position to get in. I'm saying that Bitcoin has a little. Bitcoin is probably going to end up having a little bit more strength, just because people are going to end up saying, "Hey, it finally ends up pushing out of that 15,800 number." And more people are just ready to be able to get in overall. But going back to what I ended up saying before, a lot of stuff is aligning up for the United States dollar to be able to get strong for the next few weeks, at least the next few weeks, not necessarily the next few months, but for the next few weeks, it's aligning. Everything is kind of aligning up for the United States dollar to be able to get strong. It's really going to be based off of catalyst. Um, let's see. Block says, I'm in shorts right now with one BC, hasn't trailed out of the TP yet. Uh, okay, cool. What's up, son? Huh? No, baby, it's cold outside, not yet. I'm looking at the stream. Uh, I'm just looking at the stream in between this and YouTube. It is way behind. Go figure. Oh, there we go. Maybe because I didn't click on live. All right. But Bitcoin not going to do anything with as of yet. Now let's talk about the ones that end up having the biggest move. And I'll talk about the prop firm challenges while I'm going through this. Um, End up starting off Wednesday being up 2%. Actually end up starting off on Wednesday being up 2%, and then after that end up having a 3% loss overall. So I'm in the midst of still trying to go through that 8% verification phase, being able to get it done. It actually ended up Actually ended up pushing to the downside a little bit overall when it came down to that movement. Um, but literally just got triggered into a trade on NAS 100 as we're speaking right now. I want to see how well that actually ends up. Hopefully, that ends up doing well for us overall. I'm going to keep my eye on that one. And while I'm looking at this, I'm going to look at NAS 100. Since this is an automation system, I'm going to let the automation system do its thing. Currently, right now, is up 254. Waiting for the trail stop to be able to trigger. At this particular point, has not triggered as of yet. Um, but I am going to end up. Let's go ahead and talk about NAS as we take a look at this. So what ended up happening yesterday was this: we ended up going through this consolidation, ended up pushing all the way up to market, ended up pushing all the way up to um, these overall highs. I'm going to call this a free run area. The market basically ended up going back into consolidation from this point right here. It ended up doing that. Then after that, started to consolidate just a little bit inside of this area, that being the high, this being the actual lows of that particular spot. And I'm going to make that a little bit of yellow. Broke out to the top side, and then after that, since breaking out to the top side based off of retail sales numbers, then after that, market has started to fall. Currently, right now, if we look at the market falling, we should be looking at sales. My system is in on a sale right now, currently as we speak. The reason why it's having a little bit of hesitation is because it's running up to this 11,309 number, which has been somewhat of an area where people actually start being able to make a little bit more noise when it comes down to selling in general. But if it does fall, I do expect that the market could fall all the way down to 11,140, which would basically, there we go. We end up having a win off of that one. Cool, I'll take it. All right. Got me in, got me right back out. So NAS 100 is a winner this morning. Good. Um, I'm not seeing that much momentum, but even with that being said, those I'm glad that we end up getting that. Essentially, what's going to end up happening is that the market's just falling right back inside this same area where it ended up pushing up the last time. So let's see. I've been selling NAS and Dow this morning, but I'm very cautious. It's starting to drop nicely now. Yeah, they're starting to drop nicely now because they just fell back into that volume node. I mean, back inside of that vortex area, that low volume node area. We can see it right. You can see it right here where it end up having the first drop. You see it right here where it end up having that big pop. You can see it right here where it's having that nice drop as we were looking at it earlier. I created an EA that was really more based off of being able to make it fall, or based off of high volume nodes and low volume nodes. Still could not figure out how to be able to get this thing to be able to work with the volume nodes as a whole. That's something that I am going to end up working on overall this year. I'm trying to see if I can be able to get an answer for that. But the question is, should you be looking at being able to get in at this particular point? Answer right now is not yet. Wait for the 15 minutes to be able to get back into the buy zone and see if you can get a little bit of a retracement. If you can get a retracement going to the upside, then after that, I'll look at being able to sell. So I will look at something like this, look at a counter trend line break to be able to make it break, and then after that, look at being able to make your order once the market goes down one more time. I wouldn't jump into it right now just because the market has already fell down. Market's already done fell down about 85 points at this particular point. See if it'll pop back to the upside for you just a little bit before being able to jump in. All right. But NAS 100 sent a pretty, yes. Yeah, go wash your hands, baby. Mason, I don't think you're going to daycare today. Yeah, I don't think you're going to daycare today. Appreciate it. Thanks for your kind words. Hope everything's going well with you. Let's take a look at US 30. US 30 will be the last one that I'm going to get into today. And then after that, if there's any other questions, we'll talk about it. But US 30 had a major drop because of retail sales. Now, keep in mind, I ended up saying it before. I didn't think that we're going to end up having great retail sales numbers overall when it came down to the United States dollar, just because of what's happening with inflation, just because of what's happening with a whole bunch of other things that was just going on. Plus, we ended up saying that if it fell and broke below 33,919 or 33,915, then the market was truly going to end up falling because there was really no volume to be able to hold it up. So market pushed up, went into consolidation. We ended up talking about this triangle earlier on this trade, and I ended up saying, hey, you're interested in being able to jump in off of this triangle, then you'll have a very good chance of being able to make a solid move for us being able to get in. Fatty, I think that's where you end up taking advantage of yours, correct? Based off of that triangle. But even with that being said, this was the first warning that the market was going to end up falling down. We ended up seeing this, and then after that, when it fell, it gave a little bit of retracement, then fell again. But even with that being said, you still have the sale that you could be able to get into when it came down to that. Now, after it ended up falling, it ended up giving a little bit of consolidation again. Move that out the way. We end up having that already. That was already made. End up giving us another chance of consolidation right here. I'm going to end up being a little bit more honest and say that it was right there. Broke out, pushed back up, rejected again, and then after that failed. This was right when, what was that, 123, 1030. That was right when the news ended up coming out. News ended up coming out at 8:30. It pushed the market up to the upside. It rejected off of 34,000. As soon as that rejected off of 34,000, I want to say about an hour after that, it ended up falling down from 1030 on to the downside and basically ended up pushing all the way back to the natural supports. Now, keep this in mind. When a market breaks a support, when a market ends up breaking a support, it's going to fall down to another support. So even though we can clearly see that this market has fell down almost 1,000 points since then, I think that it's not going to end up, I don't think it's not going to end up settling up until the market, bless you, baby. I see. I don't think that the market's not going to end up settling up until it ends up getting at least past 32,820. So if you're a person that can stay in a trade and be in that for that long, that would be the position where I would say, hey, that's where I want to be able to get out at. And I'm talking about that'll be about over 1,300 points in a 2-day span. It's not necessarily that's not necessarily crazy. We've seen that happen plenty of times. But that's January for you. We're waiting for that big move. It finally ended up happening based off of retail sales. Market ended up pushing to the downside. Stop, baby. Stop. We end up going from there. This pump is out of nowhere. Actually, I mean, Block. If you end up thinking about it, we knew that at least over here in the States, you could tell that there was not a lot of people sitting up there getting a lot of stuff when it came down to this overall retail sales and everything else. It's been more online sales overall. We can see from this how spending and everything else was going based off of numbers from previous months that we really weren't going to see a great number, and we didn't. So this is more of just I told you so when it came down to news, I guess, overall. But I think this number was already kind of fixed in when it came down to most people or most market makers. I think they already had an idea that the market was going to end up falling. And I think that's the reason why it fell so fast. Let's see, caught 400 pips in that last trade yesterday. Nice. Let's see. How did you get the heat map on the right side? It's not a heat map. It's volume profile, visible range. You get that if you end up having a pro version of if you end up having a pro version of TradingView. What you have to do is go to indicators. Once you go to indicators, you end up going to technicals. From technicals, go to volume profile. From volume profile, you're going to end up going to visible range volume profile. Visible range volume profile, and you end up getting it from there. Give it up. Give it up. but that's how you end up getting it. Everybody, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I got class in the next 30 minutes. But if you like what I end up doing, please make sure you end up clicking on that boost button. For the people on YouTube, please make sure that you end up liking and sharing and subscribing. Obviously, this has been a slow day, and I'm still trying to get over this sickness that I have. So hopefully everybody ends up having a very good day today when it comes down to trading. We end up talking again tomorrow morning. Well, actually, no, today's Thursday. We actually end up talking again on Monday morning, and we end up going from there. Everybody, take it easy. See you later.